Hello, welcome to the transparency. Live. Sup, B? Sup, Lo? Let's get the party pumping. Okay. I got stuff all over the place. Again, everybody, this is Fight for a Family, Lindsay Partin episode. This is the, I guess you could say, the interview when she is in the room with the police. All right, Lindsay. Hope everybody's having a good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever it is that it might be. They're showing this in the courtroom. They're showing her sit.
We want to go over everything that happened, everything we said and everything. But since you are now here at our office and everything, we have to protect everybody's rights, your response and everything. And this is something we do to everybody. Okay, but I just got to get it out of the way. Sure it is. Sure.
Okay, so the first thing I want to notice is they waited 36, about, I would say 30, 36 minutes because there was some talk at the beginning. Thank you, Design Life. Just so you guys know, Lindsay is Lindsay's family, a cousin, Fight for a Family. That means, myself, my nonprofit, Design Life, taken on this case. So Sheldon, Jamie Brown, Rachel Tondo, Lindsay Partin. I said I would never take on more than 4 cases at a time. And so those are the 4. And that's anything that you are involved in. If you're involved with Fight for a Family, that's where your your money goes to if you're a member. If you are a member here, if you're a member on the website, either, you know, it is what it is. That's where your money goes. It's going to one of those 4 cases. So, okay. But thank you. Okay. So in this, I'm just going to wait 1 more minute here, and then I'm going to start. Okay. Actually, though.
Now, we want to go over.
Self-employed people. You can hand those off to me.
Yeah, but can I hand them off without using my hands?
We can arrange that. You do your thing. You've got your taxes. Into it. Turbo.
I feel like she's a little bit more behind than the other one. And we all played outside. Okay. So he was up there. I mean, he tried.
Has he ever disciplined the kids?
Not really.
Has he ever?
No. I mean, it's not listening to me. You gotta listen to your mom, but no, he's pretty busy. Yeah. On me.
Have you ever seen him squat on or spank on or anything?
I want him to get there. So I'm just like, hey, listen to your mom. But nothing, no. I'm not a spanker.
How do you discipline her?
Well, sometimes I raise my voice. I probably do that more often than I should, but I do try to tell them why I'm saying no. I have a really good mom. She's a teacher. We didn't have to be spanked. She just, I don't know, was always explain to us why the reason was no, why you couldn't do that. I don't know. Oh yeah, they were still all in that. Oh yeah.
I can't remember if it was you or Jason told me that.
Great. But if you're sitting here and you're covering and you know things, then watch. Listen to because this is the only spot that you're going to get a chance to cooperate, because once we're done, and if you don't let it out, then that's on you. There'll be no hands reached out to you. So the things I know for a fact, are these doctors who have a lot more knowledge than, as you said, any of us. Say this baby was beat. Listen to me. These bruises that are all on its chest has made the doctors nauseous. That the swelling on the brain was from a beating. That her retinal in her eye is totally, it's just from the beating. And people try to, and when I'm not saying this directed at you, but people in general want to make excuses of fell over a train and hit her head, fell over in the driveway and caused bruises.
Okay.
Right.
You booked a Sunny Verbowski chalet. Emma.
I wanted to be showing a different video though. Hold on. It's not what I want to start with.
Sir, I want to direct your attention to
There we go.
Congregating, we'll be looking for you. Hope to get started about 20.
And when I'm
Fence will mark that and we'll preserve
going to excise.
down the road somewhere. Okay? Yeah. All right. Otherwise, everybody else ready to get started, bring the jury in, and get the video we're about to see. Everybody's ready?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm just looking for the disc to get that queued up.
Well, we're supposed to want you to go and look at our juries. As soon as we have everybody, go ahead and bring them on in, and we'll get started.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just
I
want to
didn't do
go,
anything wrong.
and I realize that you should,
I
right.
didn't even know who to call.
Okay, but I just want,
One on her chin.
It was the one that showed from when she fell.
Okay, so all right, so Lindsay is waiting for obviously law enforcement to come in, and I just want you guys to really pay attention to these first 5 minutes.
Because something has happened to this baby. Right?
Obviously, I mean, when all that was happening this morning, I was thinking to myself, there's no way that just falling on that concrete floor made her, I could have swore like the head, this has been going on. I don't understand.
Have you seen her come to the house with bruises on her face
Yeah,
before the accident yesterday?
yes,
So she had bruises on her face this week.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where at?
Before she fell off the train?
Like one was like right here, and then she had one on her chin.
It was the one that showed from when she fell in the gravel.
That got worse. There was one on her chin before that, and then when she fell in the gravel.
So there's bruising before.
Yeah, it got worse. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And Jeff, when she tripped on her heel of her boot on the rock, and like,
Yeah.
and she better tell me too.
Okay. All right.
I don't want
Do you want me to give him a call?
No, I want to call my lawyer. I'm completely honestly telling the truth, and I would never lie. I wouldn't lie to anybody. Yeah.
Now, if you want to call your lawyer, I mean, do you still want to talk to us?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
You're doing it. This is what you're supposed to be doing, helping us.
I'll do anything I can to.
Well, we do appreciate it.
Anything that's
Especially
going
to
to
help us out with cannabis, you know, and I know that you want to do
She is our main concern.
She's been my main concern.
So for how long has she been your main concern?
Since I've known her. It doesn't matter.
And what's your reasoning for that?
She's not a mom. My husband didn't have a mom.
Yeah.
There's a big difference when you don't have nurturing and love. And I'm not saying that you didn't do that, but women are different.
Right.
Like even last night after I was putting the big rug on her face, she looked at me and said, "Love you, buddy. You take good care of me." I'm honestly in shock. It was literally 30 seconds to a minute, him dropping her off and us walking in the house. And she collapsed. I
hadn't even shut the door behind me yet. You hadn't shut the door yet, but you told me that you were walking in towards the kitchen and never done it.
No, I hadn't even shut it.
You hadn't shut
I
it.
hadn't even shut it. No.
So you weren't in the same room with her when she turned around and looked at you?
No, I was still. So here's the door, here's that chair, here she is. I put my phone down, went to take off my robe. She looked up.
I have a couple questions I want to.
Boom. Right here. This is the switcheroo. Lindsay asks, you know, I want to talk to my lawyer. I need to get a lawyer. I don't know. Am I supposed to get a lawyer? Like because anytime that you ask for a lawyer, people will like, you're just like, she's never been in trouble, right? Well, I don't want you to think that by me wanting a lawyer, that I'm saying that I'm guilty of anything like that. But, you know, and then immediately when she said, do you not want to talk? Is it because do you want to get a lawyer and still talk to us? Like, you know, you guys just saw what you saw.
I ask you.
Sure.
And listen to me. And I don't know if since you've been in here talking to them, because I've been meeting with my boss, if you've been talking about an attorney or anything. So I just want to make sure because I have a couple more questions I want to ask you, but I want to make sure you are still well aware of your rights.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just want to
I
go
didn't do
through.
anything wrong.
And I realize that you should.
I
Right.
didn't even know who to call.
Okay, but I want to go through them one more time real fast, okay? Just to make sure I'm good at asking you a couple
Yes,
questions.
of course.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to consult an attorney. If you can't afford one, when we appoint for you free of charge, you can stop talking to myself or Detective Lambert at any time. Do you understand your rights as I read them to you? Are you okay answering a couple more questions,
Yes.
knowing your rights?
Yes.
Okay. Is this your phone?
Yes.
And this is what we wrote down on the back.
Yes.
Would you give us consent to look in your phone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can I punch that code in?
I'll do my thing.
Do you care if I do it?
No.
So what time, let me ask you this. Well, I don't know. How do you have Jason in here?
Jason Leshy.
Let me put my glasses on because I have Paul's on. Jason Lushy. There he is. So I see he sends you texts every morning.
Yep.
When he sends you these texts, like today says, getting ready to head over, and you reply back, okay. How long does it take him to get over there after you send that text?
5 to 10 minutes. He's always late.
So is that usually every morning? Is it 5 to 10 minutes before he gets there? All right. So
I take that back. He's usually late, but if he's got to get the truck ready and take it down, then he's on time. It just depends on if he's driving his own car or if he's taking the truck down. Then he's got to load it.
But this morning, when he sent, you said he was probably 5 or 10 minutes after that, which I get that.
Yeah.
So would you agree on my watch right?
There shouldn't be an echo now, is there? Should be. Is there an echo? Echo, let's see. Okay. Perfect. Real quick. She says he has to load the truck. he has to load the truck. Why is that never mentioned? What is consisting of loading the truck? This was never mentioned by the defense attorney. It just said that he went down, turned, took his car down the road, got out of his car, started the truck, got back into his vehicle so that he could wait because it was cold outside. He was waiting for it to warm up. And that's when he saw his phone and he had a missed call from Lindsay, and then he calls Lindsay. Okay. So I would want to know, load it. Lindsay, what is he loading it with? You know what I mean? Like, what does that mean? That terminology. Again, the defense attorney, because that would play into the more time. Okay.
Right now, it is 1 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And would you agree that your phone says 1 o'clock?
Yeah.
All right. So if we go back to his text, would you agree that that says at 6:52 a.m. he's getting ready to head over?
Mm-hmm.
And you say okay, right?
Yeah.
At 6:52. How long was she in the house?
Not long, 30 seconds.
And then 911 was called.
Yeah, I called him first. I wasn't really
You
sure what
real
was
good with
happening.
math?
Not really, no.
All right, I'm gonna try to help you out with time, with the clock. 6:52 a.m. So let's give him benefit of the doubt, 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
7:02 a.m.
Yeah.
Or excuse me. Yes, 7:02 a.m.
Yes.
All right, 7:02 a.m. if it's 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
When do you think that 911 call was placed?
I don't know.
8:20.
The fuck? I'm sorry, this is gonna piss me off. Like, I've gone over this multiple times. Thank you so much, Tish. But right here, this is where Lana gets upset. Your job is a detective, which I should probably be, is not to do this. Okay? Again, if you believe people are guilty of something, get them the right way. You don't need to do all this. You don't need to trick people. You don't need to try to make something that it's not there. But if you think that this right here is okay to do, I'm fine with you thinking it's okay to do. But she realizes it immediately that he's lying, that he's wrong. And here it is. And this is why, if you ever want to ask yourself if Lindsay Partin is innocent, guilty, right here, this is it.
Are you serious?
1 hour and 18 minutes later. Now, what you've done,
That looks bad.
that is bad. What you've done is said he was there this happened within seconds of him being there,
It really
and that
is.
child was there an hour and 20 minutes, giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Can I look at that real quick? I don't think you're right. Hold on, let me look at my time clock.
Let's,
Pull up my calls real quick. Pull up my calls when 911 was called. Because it was 7:20. Because I looked at the clock, it was that early. Go back to my call log.
hold on.
I'm sorry.
Who does this man think he is? She's trying to grab her phone. Hold on a second. I would have been like, give me my fucking phone. What are you trying to do here? I didn't wait no hour, 20 minutes. I told you everything that just happened. So you're going to try to tell me that I waited an hour and 20 minutes to call somebody? The police. And this guy's like grabbing her phone and like. And if you were to see this in court and be a juror and think that this is okay, I hope to God you never get in fucking trouble. That's all I have to say. Because this isn't okay. This is not okay. This is so wrong. She immediately knows. I didn't call an hour and 20 minutes later. And when she's saying that would be bad, if I did wait an hour and 20 minutes, that would be bad. But I didn't. Here, wait, let me see my phone. Pull my phone. My 911 calls in there. Go look and see when I called 911. She is adamant. Adamant that she called Jason right away, told him to get back here, and called 911 right after it. You know what I think's funny? Is that this bald-headed man decided to grow his hair out for trial so that he didn't look so big and so bad and so bald for the jury. Piece of shit. Pig. Yeah, I said it. Quote me.
It's okay. Yeah, 702 911 was called. I called 911 at 702 and him at 701.
Well, I'm looking at the CAD report wrong.
Yeah.
I stand corrected. And
Yeah,
you are right.
I called right away. I'm like, there's no way that it was an hour. It was right away. I mean, it happened within seconds.
If you had any balls of a man right there, she calls you out on your shit immediately. Okay? This is a young female scared as shit. Let's see what your next move is going to be. Who already asked for a lawyer. She already asked for a lawyer before this motherfucker came in the door. And that's actually why he came in the door, because, oh my God, before she lawyers up, let's see what we can get our hands on. And right now, all he's doing is he's hurry up and trying to like sift through her phone to see what names stick out and times and stuff like that. I know exactly what he's doing right now. Immediately she says, no, I didn't wait an hour and 20 minutes. That's wrong. I'm
telling the truth. I swear to God I am. I am not lying to you. I do not lie. I would not lie. I wouldn't lie. I just don't lie.
All right, hang tight.
Okay.
Do you see what he just did? You see that move he just did? All right, hang tight, and just takes her phone. Did he ask if I could take your phone? Like, can I take your phone with me? Do you give me consent to looking at right here? Do you give me consent to take it the fuck up out of this room? How do we know that nothing has been deleted off of there? How would we know anything? I mean, all right, just hang tight. Takes it. She's not under arrest. She's nothing. She could get up out of that chair and literally walk out of that room and be like, I need my phone right now. Thank you. And if any of you guys have any other questions, you need to contact my attorney. And it's curtains for them. Now, let's see how long they just have her chilling in here.
be in prison for something I didn't do. My kids are left alone.
Right. I get it. I know. I would feel the exact same way.
I would never,
Like I told you, I've got kids too.
I would never really, I wouldn't,
Yeah.
I don't.
I have, you know, I want to help you out, and that's why, like I said, I just want to be here to.
Jason's here too.
You said children. But we're gonna have them come here too. So, I know we've gone over the story and that's just something that we.
Yeah, you gotta keep jumping, yeah.
Just want to make sure that there's nothing else that stands out that you can think of. Any comments that have ever been made, you know, that you thought, whoa, you know, or his daughters, have they ever said anything?
I don't, I don't know that much, the middle one, I don't.
She doesn't talk to you much?
No, she stays over there, but like I know she's in school for hair, so.
Yeah.
Like if I have a family party or something, we do a lot of honey banquets, fundraisers.
Now, he gets up every weekend. Does he ever get up through the week?
Depending on if they're out of school or not, like
Okay.
President's Day, I didn't have Hannah because Caitlin was off school, so she kept her.
Okay.
So, and last week I didn't have her, I only had her Monday, Tuesday. Because Thursday was a rain day,
Okay.
and I don't babysit on Fridays.
Right. And then the weekends he's off?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
How's her relationship with your sisters?
Good.
Are they nice too?
I think so. I think she's the one that aggravates. When I heard, you know what I mean? Yeah.
You said she's rambunctious. Does she jump like all the time on furniture?
Yeah.
How does she do when you discipline her? Like if you put her in timeout, does she sit or is she gonna jump around?
She sits.
Yeah.
I don't really have to discipline them, but except for like, hey, don't take the toy, don't fight, sit down, you know. I mean,
Does she play well with the other girls? She's not like stingy or anything like that? You said that she did when she first came, but now she doesn't do that anymore?
yeah.
Just trying to think of things that just anything. Do you know what I mean? Like a color?
Don't know.
Yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's why I just, you know, for me, I know if I was in this situation, like you said, anything they want, let's do this because I know I can help you out anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was like, I just want to get this out of the way. But is there anything else about Jason that you think that stands out?
Just everything that he's single dad and busy and probably frustrated. I think he owes just got some money for the car and the house and all that. Yeah. And he's buying candy. these drives was my father-in-law's stuff, and he bought it from him, so I think he's still doing it. Because he said something like his wallet was in his friend's car in Eastgate, and she didn't notice themselves. She made sure that he couldn't get his wallet, and he had $700 in his wallet, and Jay was borrowing the money.
Who's that?
Jay is my father-in-law.
Oh.
But like, yeah, I don't know if it's a girlfriend or it's a girl.
Just the one that hangs out with you. Yeah.
I don't know.
You don't know anything about her, do you? Because I'm wondering if he was over there.
Yeah, he's another one. Yeah, he's gone.
Sure you don't want anything to drink? You want anything here?
No, I can't. He's gone now.
All right, I'll be back.
No, I just went home.
Give me a minute. Do you want me to take this hamburger away?
Yeah.
Will you guys?
No, I just went home.
Give me a minute. Oh, okay. So here? Yeah. He's 2 doors down. So as soon as we're done talking to him, we'll take his get out of there, okay? All right, Jared.
She just tells her that they're talking to Jason in the room next door. Again, a tactic.
For the text messages when you call 911. Of course. So we can have that. Hey, just to ask you real quick. Do you care to send a consent so we can dump your phone and get the timeline for the text messages when you call 911? Of course. So we can have that. Let me go get the phone real quick and have you send it for me, okay? All right, thank you.
She just asked if it's okay if they get download or the text messages. So you have Jason supposedly at the same time in the room next door, which we don't know if that's true or false yet. You're asking her for this permission. You never thought to ask Jason, hey, Lindsay's giving us her phone. Do you care about giving us your phone? Meanwhile, the jury is just watching all this dead time, and that here she is just sitting here, without her phone. No way for her to contact anybody and for them to say, no, you need to ask for a lawyer, leave, all this stuff. She's been completely okay, if this ever happens to you, and even if it's about like something that's not even murder related or whatever, always ask to use the bathroom. Always walk out of a room and always ask to use the bathroom. Pay attention then how people look at you. If people are looking at you in a way that they are like wanting to see who you are and focused in on you versus just like you're just some random and they're not paying attention, if people are zeroed in on you, that is a number one sign that you are in hot water. Period. So number one, if you're ever in a room like this, I don't care if you have to pee or not, you're asking to use the bathroom. You're walking out of the door and you're going to go, oh, hey, I got to use the restroom. I'll be right back. You're not even going to ask. You're just going to tell them that you're going to use the bathroom. Then you move your eyes around that precinct, that department, that station, and you see if everybody is keeping their eyes out on you. And if they are, you are in heaping hot water. If nobody knows that you're there and it's a lot of commotion and it's just like whatever, oh, she wants to, then no one's paying attention to you, which means that you're not on their radar. Start fucking back with these motherfuckers. Let's go.
What is the description of your phone? What kind is it?
I think it's iPhone 7 Plus.
What is the description of your phone? What kind is it?
I think it's iPhone 7 Plus.
Who's the carrier?
Verizon.
It's 2 days a week. Yeah.
He's a good guy, 90, but he hasn't really done
He said he was nervous at first, called the attorney to see what his rights were and this and that, and he's like, just came in to talk to you guys.
Yeah.
So, okay, I do your phone in. Okay. And then just signature and just phone number.
Yeah, I mean, I got to hire. I don't even have a lawyer, and no way. I said, I just don't know what to do.
Right.
Oh, I don't want to get in trouble for something I didn't do.
Right.
And I don't know what I'm supposed to do in this sense. I mean, I didn't brush my teeth this morning. I just don't realize that. Oh my God.
You have to do what feels right to you.
Call him. I don't even know what to say to him.
No, not right now. You let me answer anyway.
Sorry for breathing on you. I just realized
I don't spell your name.
It's just not realized that it's not question.
It's okay. I can't spell it. Okay. Got this done. I'll be right back, okay? Am I calling?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Watch this. Here we go. Lindsay's sitting over to the right. Lindsay's sitting over here to the right. The cups are gone. The cups are gone. The room's different. They said that they were going to be taking stuff out, but that means that somebody entered this room. See her drinks? Table's pushed back out more too. And there's a cord going into the wall there.
Howard, you be doing cross?
Yes, sir.
So we're ready.
Good afternoon, Detective Lambert. Hello, ma'am.
Okay, at 10405, clipped, no cups. Table's been moved. She's been moved. And questionable plug-in device in outlet. Which would mean people came into that room. Don't know why that would need to be clipped unless... Okay. Oh, thank you, Sandy Jersey Girl. Whoop, whoop. All right. Let's see. Go like this.
I've never met with you, have I? No, not personally. How many times have you met with either Prosecutor Heidi or Prosecutor Sheehan
She had just a couple of times. Highly, I would say maybe 5 or 6.
And how many times have you, me? Sorry. Do I need to increase my volume?
You're a witness. I'll have a joint with the witness.
Okay, sorry. How many times have you met with Prosecutor Sheehan or Hiley?
Highly a couple of times, or I'm sorry, Sheehan a couple of times, and Highly maybe 5 or 6.
Okay. And in terms of this, the last thing that you did in that interview was obtain a consent from Lindsay Partin, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm going to show you what I'm going to mark as Defendant's Exhibit G as in George. Do you recognize that document, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is that?
This is our consent to search form that we have at the Butler County Sheriff's Office.
And it's fair to say that we watched you come back into the room at the end of that video, and she's Lindsay Partin signed that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so is it fair to say that at least by an hour afterwards, well, let me break that up. Did you keep her phone at that time, or did she leave with her phone?
We kept the phone at the time.
Okay. So when was it that you all, any one of the detectives at the Butler County Sheriff's Department, opened up her phone and got the timeline of the texts and the calls?
The calls were opened when we were there in the room with her. It was
Okay.
on video.
So when Sergeant Whitlock was incorrect in the time that he said she called 911, that's when you all for the first time knew that she'd called 911 at 7:02:51?
Per her phone, yes. As far as the call log?
Yes.
For her phone? That was
Yes.
the first time I viewed it.
Okay. And so you also viewed that at 7:01:24, she'd had an incoming call from Jason Weshy's phone number to Lindsay Partin's phone number?
I don't know, ma'am.
You didn't view that?
No.
So this consent to view her call log, you didn't look at that?
No, ma'am.
Which detective or sergeant or even deputy did look at that?
I know that Detective
Listen.
Ventry,
Do you know who did?
I don't know who did.
Okay, so let me back that up. What time of the day is this when Lindsay's free to go that day? Do you know?
I don't know for certain. I believe
Was
it was
it-
around 2, but I don't know for certain.
So it was certainly afternoon?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you've received the consent to search for the timeline, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You gotta answer out loud.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have in your possession the phone, correct?
I did not personally have the phone in my possession.
Which detective does?
There was another one that did. I don't know who.
Okay, so you have no knowledge of this.
Not at the phone. No, ma'am.
So you're telling this court of this jury that you don't know that the telephone call from Jason to Lindsay at 7:01:24 was the next call in her log?
I don't.
And you don't know the call before that was the outgoing call from Lindsay to Jason at 7:47?
I know what
Objection,
Lindsay.
Your Honor. She's already indicated she doesn't know.
Overruled.
You may answer.
I know that Lindsay and Sergeant Whitlock had a conversation, and he asked her what time, and she said 7:01. She placed the call to him, and then 7:02, she placed the call to 911.
Okay, so you got that consent to search that timeline and you handed it off to somebody else?
Yes, ma'am.
Or somebody took it from you?
I did not have it in my possession.
Who did you hand it off to?
There is Detective Ventry. He does all the phone dumps for us. He's the one that handles all of that.
This isn't a phone dump. This is simply
Right.
opening the phone,
Correct.
which you have consent to do.
Correct.
And look at
Sergeant
the call
Whitlock
log.
also had the phone, so he would be the one that would also have it.
Who did?
Sergeant Whitlock.
Okay. So just so that the ladies and gentlemen of the jury know, you're a detective, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And the rank above that is what?
A sergeant.
So Sergeant Whitlock is above you.
Yes, ma'am.
In terms of sergeants involved in this case at that time, were there any other sergeants involved?
Sergeant Tanner.
Tanner.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And in terms of, that's the remainder of the sergeants?
Yes, ma'am.
What about, I don't know, what's above a sergeant, a lieutenant?
Lieutenant.
What lieutenant is involved?
Lieutenant Bouquet.
Did you see him there that day?
I don't recall seeing him. I was in the room off and on.
So you don't know about the call log time. What about the text log time?
I didn't see the text either.
So they just sent you in there to get the consent, and then they held onto the phone and didn't bother to open it and look at that
Yes,
log.
ma'am.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know when Detective Ventura got around to doing his phone dump?
No, ma'am, I don't.
If I told you it wasn't until days later, would you agree with that?
I don't know. I can't agree to something I don't know.
After this, let's say 2 o'clock on the 8th of March, when's the next time you touch this case in terms of talking to witnesses or making calls or going out and hitting the streets?
The next morning,
Okay. You didn't do anything after 2 o'clock that afternoon?
we communicated amongst ourselves for the rest of the day.
Okay. You didn't make any more calls?
No, ma'am. I take that back. I spoke with a friend of Lindsay's that she babysat her child for. Spoke with her.
Christina Lewis?
Yes, ma'am.
And what time did you make that call?
I don't recall what time I made that call.
Was it after Lindsay left the police station or
Yes,
the
ma'am.
sheriff's department?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you make any other calls related to this case that evening or that afternoon?
I called and spoke with her. That was it.
And her being Christina Lewis?
Christina Lewis,
Okay,
yes.
thank you. How many times have you watched this video?
3 times.
And do you know the particular dates of those watchings?
I don't.
Okay. You certainly watched it, where's the disc, is the disc in here?
It's up there, on top of the rest of the exhibits.
I'm going to hand you State's Exhibit 93. I believe you indicated on direct examination that you placed your initials on that CD, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Or DVD, I'm not sure the technical term of that. And you did that on April 2nd of 2019, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And so back in time, from between March 8th of 2018 and April 2nd of 2019, when have you watched that video?
I watched this on April 2nd. I don't have the dates or time wrote down for when I watched it before.
Okay. And can you guesstimate on that?
I don't even want to give a guesstimate.
The next day on Friday, that'd be Friday the 9th of March, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it fair to say that you went back to the 4050 Shank Road residence?
Yes, ma'am.
And at that time, you all asked Lindsay to come back to the station again?
Yes, ma'am.
And you approximate what time that was?
I don't recall what time that was in the morning. I know it was the morning time.
Okay. And would you agree with me that during the time frame that you are in the house, you check over the children, Vivian and Savannah, to make sure that they don't have any bruising on them?
I did so when Lindsay had asked me to help clothe her children.
And I'm not saying you did anything nefarious, but you did that, correct?
I did.
Okay. How long have you been a detective, ma'am?
Since January 6, 2018.
Okay. So when this case came about, you had been a detective for two months?
Yes, ma'am.
2 months and a couple days?
Yes, ma'am.
And specifically, what were your duties associated with this particular case on March 8th?
It shows.
I was interviewing Lindsay Partin.
Were you assigned at any point in time to try to retrieve any video footage from a Walmart?
We did.
Did you do that retrieval?
We were not able to obtain any.
There wasn't any video, is that correct?
Correct.
Other than yourself, what other detective or deputy or sergeant or lieutenant was assigned to try to retrieve that video?
It was myself, and I don't recall if it was Detective Sprague or if it was, I want to say it was Detective Sprague went with me.
Okay. How many years had you been a deputy prior to becoming a detective, ma'am?
I went out on road patrol in 2008.
And were you a continuous full-time employee road patrol officer from 2008 until 2018 when you became a detective?
No, ma'am, I was laid off from 2010 to 2012.
So in terms of have you always been employed by the Butler County Sheriff's Department except for those 2 years of layoff?
Yes, ma'am.
So from 2008 to 2010, you were a road patrol deputy?
Yes, ma'am.
And what area were you assigned?
I was downtown and then I went out to Liberty Township.
Okay. And I'm assuming you mean downtown, the city of Hamilton?
It just depend, actually. They would have me go out to Wayne Township. I'd work out in Morgan Township. I'd work in Madison.
Okay.
Just depend on the day, pretty much.
Okay. Did you ever work in the Hanover Township area?
Every now and then.
Okay. And then after your layoff, you came back in 2012 and remained a deputy until your promotion?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sorry, I was trying to come up with the word of what that would be.
That's okay.
Okay. Would you agree with me that as a sheriff's office deputy and then a detective, that part of your job and training and experience is to write reports and narratives?
Yes, ma'am.
And it's important that you document your observations within those narratives?
Yes, ma'am.
And in fact, it's standard police procedure to do so?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it proper to say police and sheriff? I want to make sure I'm clear on that.
The police is different from sheriff.
Okay. Is it proper sheriff's procedure to write reports
It is.
and write narratives?
Yes, ma'am.
And in this particular case, were your narratives provided to Detective Turner?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And Detective Turner is seated at the prosecutor's table, is that fair to say?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And he was the lead detective in this case, is that fair to say?
It is.
Okay. And so you would submit your narratives to him, correct?
Yes.
And how many times have you discussed this case with Detective Turner?
Maybe 3 times.
3 times in a year?
Yes, ma'am.
When were those 3 times?
I don't recall.
Is it that you don't recall because you didn't write it down at the time that it was occurring, or you don't have a good memory?
It's because I didn't write it down.
So you would agree with me that if you don't write something down at the time that it happens, your memory might not be correct?
You're right.
Are you aware that Detective Turner prepared and submitted a report of investigation in this matter and presented that to the prosecutor's office?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
And have you had an opportunity to review that?
To review what part?
The report of investigation that Detective Turner prepared.
I have not read his portion.
Okay. Prior to coming in here to testify today, did you review any documents whatsoever?
I reviewed mine.
You reviewed
my part in
yours.
it, I reviewed what I did.
Okay. And in terms of what you did, so you're not aware of what is contained within the entirety of the report of investigation?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And so would that be fair to say that you're not aware of what's contained within the entirety of the updated report of investigation?
If it doesn't pertain to me, no, ma'am. We all have different duties that we do.
So you would be unaware that Detective Turner only included some of your narratives within the report of investigation?
I'm not aware of that.
Okay, what narrative did you prepare in this case?
I don't understand what you're asking.
You said you only prepared your own narratives and you only reviewed your own narratives for purposes of testifying today. Which ones were those?
The ones that I provided for our follow-up.
And what were those?
The ones that spoke about when we went to the hospital, we spoke to Jason. And then when we spoke to Lindsay and responded to her residence and asked her to come to the sheriff's office to give her side of the story.
And your narrative in regards to Christina Lewis, is that fair to say?
Yes, ma'am.
So
That one
3
also?
narratives?
Yes, ma'am.
And you'd agree with me that the narrative related to the hospital would be referencing Fort Hamilton Hughes Hospital, is that fair to say?
Correct.
And you'd agree with me that the narrative related to the residence is when you went to the residence in regards to the photographs, is that fair to say?
Yes, ma'am.
And the narrative about Christina Lewis, we've narrowed down to be on 3/8/18, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
In fact, ma'am, there's a 4th narrative that you've prepared in this case, isn't that correct?
What's that?
Another narrative in regards to the house, going to the residence, correct?
I went to her residence twice, yes.
Okay. On 3/18? I'm sorry, 3/8/18?
I went to her house on 3/8, and then I went to her house again on 3/9.
You didn't prepare a
2018.
narrative as it relates to 3/9/18, did you?
I did not. Detective Hensley did.
Okay. So the 3 narratives I asked you about were the narrative for the Fort Hamilton Hospital, which obviously occurred on 3/8/18, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
The narrative as it relates to going to the residence on 3/8/18, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And the telephone call with Christina Lewis on 3/8/18, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. There's a 4th narrative, is there?
She did ask for an attorney. And then they tried to confuse her. And that's when Detective Turner came in all abruptly and basically yanked her phone. And then they made sure that they disappeared right after so that she couldn't keep on asking about an attorney. So, Miss B, if you want to watch that again, I suggest it.
They're not?
There is, but I did not write it.
You didn't write the 4th narrative?
The 4th narrative was Detective Hensley. He wrote about us going out to the residence the 2nd day. That's what you were speaking of.
No, I'm speaking about a 2nd residence narrative for 3/8/18 that you prepared.
I don't recall that.
I'm going to show you what I'm going to mark as, I think I'm on H as in Harry. And I'll direct your attention to it. I'm handing the witness exhibit marked as defendant's exhibit H as in Harry. I'm going to direct your attention specifically to, beginning at the bottom of page 2, and they're not numbered, but you'd agree with me that this would be page 1.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is page 2. And then 2, 3, and beginning into 4. Do you see your name located on a purported narrative of 3/8/18, 8 a.m., Fort Hamilton Hospital?
Yes, ma'am.
First it says Detective Sprague. I always say his name wrong. What is it?
It's okay. It's Sprague.
Sprague. And then Detective Lambert. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you indicated it's the interview of Jason Weshy, Lindsay Partin. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you'd agree with me that that 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 paragraph narrative you wrote, correct?
Yes.
Okay. In fact, you know you wrote it because it begins with Detectives Sprague and I spoke with, correct?
Correct.
So the entirety of those paragraphs of that narrative are you, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that leads us to page... Then you see another entry immediately preceding the Fort Hamilton Hospital narrative. Do you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
3A18, it's your narrative in relationship to talking to Christina Lewis, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And those paragraphs, both the ones we just looked at for the Fort Hamilton Hospital as well as this paragraph, appear to be true and accurate, is that correct?
I would need to read over it.
Please do so.
Yes, ma'am.
Do those paragraphs all appear to be true and accurate?
Yes, ma'am.
And what you prepared in relationship to this case for those narratives?
Yes.
Is that accurate?
Yes, ma'am.
And in terms of that, you recognize that in the, sure I get to the right page. Page 4, the top paragraph of that page, you have inserted and typed that Detective S. Sprague and I responded to Lindsay's residence located at 4050 Shank Road in Hamilton to take photographs of the incident location, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Photographs were taken of the toy train in each room inside the residence, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Lindsay was asked to respond to the Butler County Sheriff's Office to give a voluntary recorded statement of facts she provided to us at the Fort Hamilton Hospital, correct?
Yes.
So within your Fort Hamilton Hospital narrative is a narrative related to what happened at 4050 Shank Road, correct?
Yes.
You're aware that sometime in March of 2019, you provided another supplemental for that same occasion while Detective S. Sprague and I were at Lindsay Partin's residence
Could I see
for
that, please?
3A18. Are you aware that you provided another narrative?
I'm not aware that I provided yet another one.
I'll hand you what I'll mark as Defendant's Exhibit I as in Ingrid. Do you recognize that?
I do recognize it.
You wrote that sometime after 3/8/18, isn't that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know what day you wrote that on?
I do not. I don't have any documentation here.
You see, did I leave H up there with you?
Yes.
Sorry.
Do you need I as well?
Yeah, I apologize. Your Honor, I always forget to ask to approach the witness. I kind of seem to do it just by rote. I'm sorry. Okay. I want you to look back at H as in Harry, if you would, please. And specifically looking at your narrative that you've already agreed that you typed that all up, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you would agree with me that within the narratives, page 2, 3, 4, that are all your typing, that the name Lindsay Partin or Lindsay is multiple times there, correct?
Correct.
And could you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury of how you spell Lindsay's name, her first name, in those 8 paragraphs?
Lindsay was spelled Lindsey.
And you still have in front of you exhibit I as in Ingrid, is that correct?
Yes.
And could you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury how on whatever day you prepared this report, you spelled Lindsay?
Lindsay.
You'd agree with me that you certainly didn't prepare those on the same day, correct, as you had in H, correct?
I can't say if I prepared this on the same day or not.
You spelled her name differently.
I also see that it's spelled differently here in the top.
I'm looking at your writing.
I understand that.
Your typing.
Mm-hmm.
You agreed with me that you wrote the particular paragraphs contained on page 2, 3, and 4, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That was your typing, your words, and your words alone, correct?
Yes.
And some later time, when you create this brand new narrative that you provide and we get in March of 2019, you are spelling her name differently, correct?
Yes.
And when I say her, I mean Lindsay Partin, correct?
Correct.
You created that at some later time, is that correct?
I typed it obviously later than I typed this one.
You're aware that the narrative that you provided in whenever you typed it up, is much different than your prior narratives. Are you aware of that?
It's more detailed.
And I think you already testified that you understand the concept that you remember events that transpire closer in time when you're writing it out, correct?
I can remember events, but I don't remember the time if I don't write it down.
So you'd agree with me that you probably, at the very minimum, wrote this March of 2019 narrative up after you'd watched the video, correct?
I can't say that.
And you'd probably written this narrative up at least probably after the next day when Lindsay Partin goes and talks a second time, correct?
I can't say that either.
When you began your testimony today, you indicated that your memory was that, let me get my note correct. When you responded to the Fort Hamilton Hospital and you were speaking with Lindsay, you testified that she told you that Hannah was dropped off at about 6:55. Do you recall that testimony?
Mm-hmm.
That's incorrect, correct?
Where did I say that at?
In your testimony.
Jason said that she was dropped off at 6:55.
Okay, so if your testimony was that Lindsay told you Hannah was dropped off at 6:55, you were incorrect this morning or this afternoon when we began your testimony.
Lindsay stated that he texted her at 6:52, and Jason stated that she was dropped off at 6:55.
And in terms of that, Are you telling me that at the hospital, you did know what time the text was at?
I know from what someone told me, but I did not view the text. That's the question you had asked, is if I viewed the text, and I had not.
And you still haven't viewed the text?
No, ma'am.
I don't mean to be mean here, but in terms of the number of detectives assigned to this case, how many are there?
I don't know how many detectives are assigned to this case.
Yourself?
I can count myself, and I can
Detective
count
Turner?
Detective Turner. I can name a couple of them, but I don't know who all is involved and who is not.
Detective Sprague?
Sprague?
Was he the
Detective
detective
Ventry?
that you were assigned to maybe drive around with or partner with?
For that day, yes.
Okay. And then there's Detective Hensley, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Detective Venturer, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Detective Morris, correct?
He was not on the case, as far as
You're not
I
aware
know.
that he signed an affidavit for a search warrant and presented that to a judge in this case?
I'm not aware of him doing that.
Have you ever done an affidavit for a search warrant, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're aware that when you write an affidavit for a search warrant, it's imperative that it's accurate, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And in fact, when you're going to see a judge seeking a search warrant of anything, whether it be a house or a phone, you're telling the judge, I swear, Your Honor, the things I put in this affidavit are true, correct?
Yes.
Swear under oath.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you're aware of how important it is to put accuracy within affidavits for search warrants, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you wouldn't expect your fellow detectives to lie in their affidavits for search warrants, would you?
That's not a good practice, no.
Okay. So are you aware that Detective Hensley, Detective Morris, and Detective Ventura all put in a particular
Objection, Your Honor.
sentence?
May we approach?
Detective Lambert, you're aware that at about 38 minutes into the tape that we've just watched, that you and your partner, Detective Sprague, tell Lindsay, we've talked to the doctors down at UC, and whatever happened to her happened this morning. You recall that?
Yes, ma'am.
That's a lie, correct?
I can't say that's a lie.
Well, the detectives wouldn't lie in affidavits, correct?
I am. I try my best not to lie.
Are you aware that any detectives have been lying from the Butler County Sheriff's Department?
Lying in an affidavit? I don't know of the affidavit.
You're not familiar with it?
Not the one that they went and had signed, no.
But you're aware they did it, correct?
I am now, you told me.
You didn't know this beforehand?
No, ma'am.
Would that be something that only a lead detective would know about?
The lead detective gets all the information collected from everyone.
So if another detective had been down at UC that morning and told the complete opposite of that, that would mean you were lying to Lindsay Partin when you said this, correct?
When I said what?
We've talked to the doctors down at
Objection,
UC.
Your Honor.
Recall him saying that,
Yes, ma'am.
detective?
Yes.
You're aware that you had talked to Detective Sprague. Tell Lindsay, we've talked to the doctors down at UC. Whatever happened to her happened this morning. You recall that?
Yes, ma'am.
That's not true, is that correct?
I don't know if that's true or not.
You don't know if that's true or not.
No.
Hannah wasn't even at UC Hospital, was she?
She was at Cincinnati Children's.
That's not the University of Cincinnati Hospital. That's a wholly different hospital, isn't it?
It is.
So you and the other detective who's got more years of experience on you, you're lying to Lindsay Partin at that time, correct?
I didn't pick up on him saying that. That's what he said. I'm sorry.
You didn't
I
hear
didn't
that?
hear it. I didn't pick up on when he said it at the time, so I didn't correct him because I don't recall him saying it.
You don't recall him saying it all?
I do now, but I did not
So if I
then.
cue up the tape at 38:19 approximately,
I'm not disagreeing with you that he said it. I'm saying that at that time, when he said UC, I wasn't focused on him saying what hospital.
isn't it fair to say, detective, that at that point in time, you and your detective that you're partnered with that day haven't talked to the doctor in charge of neurosurgery here, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's that's Dr. Stevenson, correct?
I don't know what doctor it is. I didn't speak to any of them, so I don't know what doctor did what.
You hadn't spoke to any doctors, correct?
Just the one at Fort Hamilton, and that was brief. They just let me know that she was leaving.
Okay, and in terms of that, you would agree that when Sergeant Whitlock
Did you just go there to be a cheerleader?
came in to speak with
For the
Lindsay
detective?
Partin, he obviously lied to her, correct?
I would assume if he didn't speak to the doctor, he wouldn't know that she had already passed. But I don't know if he spoke to the doctor or not because I wasn't with him the entire time.
Okay, so now you think it's possible that Sergeant Whitlock, who's a level above you, spoke to a doctor and was told that Hannah Weshy was dead on March 8th?
I don't know if he spoke to anyone or not. I can't say whether he did or not. He's my sergeant, so if he says that, then I'm going to go along with what he says.
Okay, so you weren't aware in the room the entirety of that interview, both coming in and going out and coming in and going out, that Hannah Weshy, in fact, did not pass away on March 8th?
Correct.
You weren't aware of that?
No, I'm aware that she did not pass away on March 8th. I know that she was still there at the hospital.
And she was alive, correct?
Yes.
And so you agree with me that you were lying to Lindsay about that the entirety of the interview after Whitlock comes in and says she's dead.
I don't know until after I am done with the interview with Lindsay of what the outcome was with Hannah, because I was in the interview room with Lindsay. Whenever any conversation was going on in regards to Hannah and what was going on there and what the doctors had to say, I wasn't in there in the room at that time.
So when Lindsay asked you towards the end about, is Jason here too? And you fumble around and finally realize, oh gosh, I can't say he's down at Children's still. Because why would he be at Children's if Hannah's passed away? You're telling this jury that you didn't know she was still alive then?
No, I had no problem with telling her Jason was still at the hospital. And she had asked if she wanted to call him, and I said he wouldn't answer.
And so Lindsay Partin leaves the sheriff's department that day, believing that Hannah's passed away?
No.
If people don't have a problem with this, she wanted to call. What do you mean? She said, I want to call. What? You're lying to somebody and saying that someone's dead. Yes, can they do that? Yes. Well, she wants her phone to call Jason. Oh, he's probably not going to answer. Why? He would answer. You can't have her calling Jason because he's going to be like, Hannah's not dead. Who told you that? And the moment that she finds out that you guys are lying to her and playing games to her and not believing a word that she says, you think she's going to keep cooperating with you? Why would Lindsay Partin think that you're fucking playing games with a little girl's life and lying about it? Why would Lindsay Partin think that you guys think that she beat the shit out of this kid? Why would she think that? You're asking her for your help. She's being helpful. She's telling you guys everything. But if she would have called Jason and said that, your little fiddle fucking game's over. Again, this is my thought process. If somebody is guilty and you believe that they did it, Get him the right way. Get him the ethical way. That way there's no doubt in it. Wouldn't you want that as a police officer, as a detective, as a prosecutor? I don't want to put away somebody that didn't do something. I want to get the right person. All lawyers, prosecutors are lawyers. You have to have an ego. Every lawyer has an ego. I don't care what anybody says. And shouldn't your ego be about, do you want to win because you cheated to win a game? Oh, I had that guy shave points. That's why we won. But hey, guess what? My win, I'm still 10-0. If you care about Hannah and you care about the family, which would include Lindsay, Lindsay took care of her every single day other than Fridays and on the weekends. She fed her every meal. She had her sun up till sundown. Hannah got to be with other kids and play that were the same age as her. My son talks about that all the time, how, he, like, playing with other kids is so important. And when you don't have it, like, kids get sad about that. Like, oh, I want to go play with somebody. Like, can we go to the neighbors? And I mean, you guys saw the way that Lindsay's house is all set up with the toys, the play area. Don't you want to get this right? But is there a reason that you can't get it right? Did somebody have something out for the Smith family? Did somebody know what TJ Smith was doing? Oh, well, if we can't get him, we're going to get his wife. Because TJ Smith, after the verdict comes out in May, he is hauled on in for, messing around with 10-year-olds. Who cares? She admitted that she abused the child. Then you don't believe in false confessions. Why don't you go look back, Miss B, and find out what people say when they're in a room, and you just tell them what somebody wants to, you want to hear this? You know how many black people have said stuff that about racial cops back in the day, and come to find out DNA is what the Innocence Project was all about, and that's how these innocent black men were basically being freed off of DNA. But they said they killed somebody. So when you want to say, who cares? I'm going to tell you that is the most ignorant thing. And I'm not a fan of ignorance. She said she abused the kid. I don't believe those are the words that Lindsay Partin used. Hey, by the way, I abused Hannah. No, that's not the words that she ever used. So this statement in itself, Boba, this isn't a racist case, though. Wrongful convictions happen all the time because of false confessions, because of police doing exactly this, detectives doing this. Keep your investigation unbiased and you will get the right person. Them's are the facts right there. And Miss B, I use that as an example. But I can sit here and tell you that, does everything about this case look, smell like shit? Yeah, it does. Yes, that's exactly what she said. But what was she saying first before all that? What was she saying over and over and over and over? You're going to have to give us a different story. You're going to have to give us a different story. You're going to have to give us a different story. This isn't, she didn't say this the first time she sat down with them, did she? Nope. Okay, I'm going to tell you this. If you slap somebody across the face, they don't die. That's not murder. If you slap somebody across the face, that's not murder. Lindsay Partin was convicted of murder. Murder. She abused her. It's sad. Sorry, in my opinion. I don't know if you were in my last. I'm going to show you a picture. I'm going to ask you a question. Because I don't know if you were here yesterday. But I think it'll be good for your heart and soul. Let's see. Let me find it like this. Okay. You've seen all the pictures. Not all the pictures are available. That's why on Court TV you couldn't see anything. Okay, do you see what this is right here? This is Hannah. Hannah's first birthday. Have you seen this photo? Because I don't think anyone's seen it. This is Hannah's first birthday. Okay. You see anything? Do you think those are birthmarks? Because Hannah didn't have birthmarks. She had the one on the left. What are those two bruises in the middle? This is Hannah's first birthday. Did she know Lindsay Partin when she was 1? The answer is no. At her first birthday, when she has the 2 thumb bruises to be under the armpit shaking a child, like so, those are those 2 thumbprints right there. The bottom line is that these are not birthmarks. This isn't food. These are or could be bruises. These are the same area, the chest that they're talking about. Okay. When somebody wants to say, "Oh yeah, Lindsay," because she was pointing, saying, "Don't do that. Don't do that." This is Lindsay. This is Hannah's first birthday. Did you see these? Because I don't think you have. Nobody has. Because that's what I do. I investigate. Do you think these were shown to the jury? Nope. Whose fault is that? Their lawyer. Lindsay's lawyer. Now, let me show you this. You see this? Where's the thumbs of when you shake a baby and you have them under the armpits? Where's their thumbs at? Where was CPS then? Was there proof? I'm not taking up for the father just K's 3 years before. No, I'm not. You have to understand how a trial works. This is about reasonable doubt. This is about, do we know who caused the death of Hannah? The answer to that is no. If you were to sit through that trial, you would this is what you would do, is you would vote not guilty for murder, not guilty for manslaughter. If you want to give Lindsay, because like you said, you think that she was abused because, oh, well, she said that she hit her. Okay. And wait till you hear why she said that. because her lawyers coached her and told her it was about illegal. It was about, is it legal to hit? But we'll get to that. But at the end of the day, then you would be, casting your, well, I'm going to go guilty for 3 years on the child endangerment. I'm going guilty 3 years, child endangerment. This trial and the lies about the dad and the fact that Chris Davis spent the night and that he didn't go to Walmart, he didn't get milk, she didn't eat cereal. And the fact that I don't know who, like, the dad kept bringing the Hannah there. And the fact that Lindsay told Jason every time that something happened. It wasn't like he didn't know why these bruises weren't there. So that photo, though, and many other testimony and in people's phone records that wasn't subpoenaed and didn't get, and the whole shebang that the defense did not do. But that photo right there, no, nobody saw. Nobody's seen that photo. But they will, because what you guys have right here is this is how I investigate my cases, and I'm just taking you guys for a ride along with how I'm doing Lindsay stuff. So I'm here for this child period, not to fight. No, I'm not fighting either. I think it's important, though, to see all sides. When you said you saw all the pictures, you said, I've seen all the pictures. This is 2018. And I'm saying, no, you haven't. And if you're here for the child, then you have to keep an open mind. And if I wouldn't take on a case that I thought that it wasn't deserving. I think that Hannah deserves to rest peacefully. And I think that if Hannah was abused at the hands of Lindsay Partin, then that's where, Lindsay should be. Did you know that Lindsay's husband on paper, he just a month after Lindsay's conviction, he was hauled on in for rape of a child under the age of 10. I don't think you understand all the stuff that's been going on behind the scenes and why this immediately was to cast everything on to Lindsay. There's a reason for it. Yes, I have a son. Okay, I have a little grandchild. No, I have a son, Miss B. Trust me, do you know how hard it is to do this case? And I can just tell you this, that if somebody hurt my son, I don't want the wrong person being punished for my son. Like, that's not what I want. I want the right person being punished. I want the truth. And I feel like someone did just hurt my child not too long ago. Emotionally. Because of me helping people, pretty much. But my channel is all about, and my nonprofit is truly, it's all about, we have to hold law enforcement accountable. Because if law enforcement does things the right way, I wouldn't be on this case. We wouldn't be on half of the cases. But this detective has no clue what's going on. She's being told what to say. She had nothing to do, like, just, oh yeah, no, I'll be the one that goes in there to get Lindsay to sign this because she thinks I'm, like, nice and stuff like that. They had Lindsay saying they tried to get Lindsay to say so many different things so they could try to say her story changed. Her story really didn't change. And that's what I'm trying to show and prove, is that where's Jason's interview? Where's all of Jason's cameras and him talking to the police? Maybe this case will unfold differently. I can remain objective. That's what I ask. I ask for don't be biased. And because if you're biased, then we can't, if it all comes out to the end that, hey, Lindsay, I hate to break it to you, but I did this, and, I think you need to just serve your time and pray and, but I believe that there is hella reasonable doubt, and I know that hella people lied. I can prove that. But this case is hard. Any case that involves children is hard, especially if you are a grandparent, if you are, a mother or father. Shit, even if you're an aunt and you have, nieces and nephews. But I think that's why it's so important to get it right. I think that's why the fixation with the Christopher Watts case is because there was little children involved, and all you saw is all this social media of them just being a loving family that you can't fathom. How do you act like that and love your children and you're the main caretaker and then you do this? I think that's really hard for the psyche of, rational, logical people. But I just want to know why, in this case, why couldn't have been that Hannah did hit her head really hard. Hannah was born addicted to heroin because of her mother. So her mother was addicted to heroin. And she had to spend 92 days, in the ICU. And so when you hear that, then there's a lot of people in Hannah's life that I believe needed to just be looked at just because of their past. And that's what the history is all about, is what's Lindsay Partin's history. And she has no criminal background. Okay. She was helping this man out, only charging $30 a day, feeding her, having her play with the other kids. She had, 4 other kids too, which was hers. Nothing is wrong with any of these other children. And there's just a lot that wasn't investigated. So this is why I'm tuning in and supporting you, because of the unjust within these cases. As you stated, where is Jason's interviews? Yeah, where's his phone records? And it's going to come out because I'm trying to bring everything, slowly to be able to walk through steps. But, there's law enforcement that is family members, and we're going to get to that. So we're going to get to a couple different things as we're going, through this. But it's like, you have to look at it. If you were on the jury and this is the type of stuff that you saw, and you got a detective that's not knowing anything, yes, police can do certain things, but if you start at the beginning of this episode, you see, Lindsay's like, I think I need to get my lawyer. Do I need a lawyer? Like, I need to get a lawyer. And then just watch how all of that unfolds. And it's like, yeah, you probably should. Like, why can't a cop just say that? Yeah, you probably should. And you really believe, looking at that woman and that she watches kids, oh, well, how about the dad? What's his priors? How about Hannah's mom? Was Hannah's mom ever interviewed? Where's all her stuff? Who actually took the stand during this trial? What did this defense team really do? And I can tell you this from me, talking to the family, is that her defense team said, you got yourself into this mess. You need to get yourself out of this mess by taking the stand. That is the worst advice. Lindsay didn't get herself into this mess. How could you even say that? Okay. That's just, to hear that. And I don't believe that this family made it up. Okay. I don't believe that Lindsay's family, made that up. Because why did Lindsay take the stand? Jason's testimony alone, mistrial or not guilty. But like I said, yes, and we're going to talk about the fact that why is Jason paying Lindsay's, husband / father-in-law $300 a week for a car. That's $1,200 a month. But then he comments and he says, oh, but if it was a 5-weeker of the month, he got $1,500. Well, what loan do you know that fluctuates based on how many weeks are in a month? No, what were you paying for? Was it product? Was it drugs? What were like? Were you guys selling stuff? Why were you? Who pays $1,200 a month for a vehicle, or possibly if it's a longer month, 1,500? Are you pushing like a Denali that is like gold rims? I mean, what are you driving? It makes no sense that you should be paying $1,200. You know, unless did you buy a vehicle off of somebody on like the down low? This just, you know, here a woman is helping out you know, one of her husband's employees and watching the daughter. So if you think that Lindsay needed the money, no. The Smiths have a lot of money. So if Lindsay, you know, couldn't handle it or didn't want to watch, you know, Hannah anymore, stating that. But also maybe Lindsay knew that Hannah didn't have anybody else. And maybe it was, yeah, it was harder, she, you know, but she didn't want to like leave this girl. Like, don't you think that would weigh on her heart too? I mean, no offense, but to me, it's not worth the, you know, she only watched her 4 days, $30 a day, you know, $120 a week. You know, I'm good on the $480 for the month. I just can't do it. It's just getting too much. What's the plan? Oh, beat her up a little bit. Maybe the dad will notice and he'll just yank her from me. I mean, she had other kids. Like, I mean, the psyche isn't there. The thought process. She had her own kids in the house. You know, she had her 2 daughters there, another child, and then Hannah. You know, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like, my son just turned 6. He's on it. If he sees something, you know, you take a kid to the store and my son will see something. And it's like, maybe it's a guy that, you know, is overweight or something. And he'll say, "Oh, mama, look I see his whole belly." I'm like, "Oh gosh, Jax, you can't see that," you know? But just the kids, they're just so innocent, so purely, you know, speaking. So kids will say, "Oh yeah, mama was hitting, you know, little Hannah all day yesterday." Like kids would say, or Hannah was in trouble all day yesterday. Mama had to just keep smacking her. She wouldn't stop being bad. Kids would just speak bluntly like that. And then you have this Christina Lewis woman, again, trusted, you know, her daughter with Lindsay, and the place was spotless clean. Everybody's being fed. And you look at the pictures of Lindsay's place, and you look at the pictures of Jason's, and then you look at how Hannah was, you know, brought up and all the hardships. I mean, where is Hannah's mom? And I don't like to blame people. How I like to look at something is I like to eliminate things. But I want to know why couldn't this have been an accident? Why did it have to be? Why is everyone thinking that it's murder? 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 This was murder. Lindsay Partin didn't commit murder. I don't care who did this. If somebody did do it, it isn't murder. Murder, so you intended to kill the girl? No. You think that Lindsay intended to kill Hannah that morning at 6:52 a.m. As soon as her dad drops her off, Lindsay just, you know what? I mean, if you think that's if you truly think that that's possible within, you know, 30 to 60 seconds for no reason whatsoever, just because Jason brought her there. I mean, her little girl's standing right there. Because the one little girl was up, the other girl she wasn't up yet. Oh yeah, you should hear what Jack says when we're out somewhere. If people have funny hair, oh my God, I love their hair color. I want blue. And I'm like, oh God. And I just don't want people to think he's making fun of it, because he's not, because he really probably would want blue hair. But they just, for example, what just happened to my child, and if the the process server did that on his own, but if he was told to do that and to watch my live and to do it while I was live, and knowing that my child was there, I mean, that's intent to do whatever. But I wouldn't want the wrong person to be in trouble for emotionally, causing harm to my child. But I think that this case, a lot of cases, when you just see the horrible job done by the police, and then that's just the questionable stuff that her defense team, and she paid for this, and just the amount of reasonable doubt, like we don't know what happened. It could have been Jason, it could have been Lindsay, it could have been Chris Davis, it could have been somebody else. We don't know, because now Jason's lied. We don't know who else did Hannah run into. Why isn't people testifying to the fact that Hannah was in vehicles, mainly Jason's, going on drug runs to sell drugs? Yeah, I don't either. But back when we were little, think about it. I'm gonna get you with the wooden spoon. Would you say if my mom hit me with a wooden spoon on my butt that she abused me? No. My mom's the most loving, caring person in the world. But everybody has their own opinions. You're a parent, there's no handbook, okay? But when you are a caregiver, well, did you sit down with Jason? Was there, hey, these are the rules, this is what we do, this is what we don't do, that type of thing. But your kid could fall anywhere. Does that mean I wasn't watching your kid close enough to catch their fall? Like, no, they're just being a kid. But now if you came in and my house was full of booze and your kid fell and I'm over here wasted, then I would be like, yeah, Lana, what the hell? Like, yeah, my kid should have never been doing that, because he felt he was dangling from the, the balcony and playing Spider-Man because you're passed out drunk. Well, yeah, that would be, so, but there are such things as accidents. I just want to know why immediately it was that, Hannah was being abused versus that what they said in the past, couple weeks, this. Jason never went anywhere about it, never told anybody about, like, that he had any, oh, I think that Lindsay's doing this, or, he has his other daughters that are older. They would have saw their sister and being like, why does my sister look like she has an 8 in weeks and she's bruised head to toe? Like, none of that happened. Yes, the wooden spoon, right? Like, you're like, no. And it's like, you know what? I'm glad that my parents had discipline, though. And trust me, they would like cry if they ever, like, it was very few and far between. But you know what? Like, we listen to our parents. We're polite to people. We use our manners. We listen. If your mom or dad says don't do this because, don't run in a parking lot. You're so little, you're going to get hit by a car. So no, you're not hopping out of the car by yourself. Like, I will get you out. I had to pick a switch off the tree. A man with no legs came into our business in a wheelchair, and I said, Mom, that man got no legs. Nobody said anything, but I didn't get an answer. I knew I shouldn't have said it, but didn't know why I was 3. Yeah. Or you try to like act like you don't hear something because you're like, oh God, no. But now what I do about it is, if I think that somebody heard my kid say something, I make it like a valuable teaching lesson, and I say, hey sir, hey ma'am, can I explain something to my, my son? And or when we get in the vehicle, then it's, hey, some people, are born this way, some people are born that way. You know how you have 2 moms, like everybody's different. But just because he's like that, right? No one, like, that doesn't make him, not as good as you, and you're not, less than him. And but it just, my mom always says, if you don't have, empathy and compassion for what you're looking at or what you're doing, then you shouldn't be doing it. There should be no judgment unless you can actually, like, be objective, because then you shouldn't be doing it. If you don't know something, if you're not willing to hear something, so the media made Lindsay look like a monster, and I don't think that that's right. The sheriff's department did that before she was ever arrested. Do I think that that's right? Nope. In fact, it's unethical, and we're hunting right now for a Facebook post that the sheriff and a deputy posted. It's kind of like what Tammy Lee did. But why was there no mention in the media that Hannah, when she was born, was addicted to heroin, and that she was in ICU for 92 days? I think that's pretty important. I'm shocked other people use the wooden spoon. I rode my bike past my friends, and my mom came in the car and chased me home with the wooden spoon. I think because my parents, so my dad was born in Italy. My mom, she was born here, but my grandparents, and obviously the one side born in Italy, the other side born in Ireland. It was always for good reason, though, to like even like say, if you don't knock it off, you can't do certain things. There's no talking back. I never talked back to my parents. But if you don't nip that in the butt young, then good luck. You're gonna have your hands full. So wait, go get a switch off the tree. Now I want to know what that's about, because I don't know what that's about. I never had to do that. Yeah, I mean, Jason wasn't like, he would just pay like lump sums as he went, and like I said, these 2 people, like you see Lindsay sitting there, she's not like, oh my God, Jason's a, SOB. Like, she's in shock. She's like, I don't understand. Like, and then they were like, come up with a different story. And I truly believe that if Lindsay had different defense attorneys, Lindsay wouldn't be where she's at, because Lindsay didn't commit murder. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say this, even with the defense attorneys that she had, Lindsay didn't commit murder. And so how the jury found her guilty of murder, I have a problem with that. But then you look at all the people sitting around. Shit, look at all the people on YouTube. Look at all these idiots. Well, if they're on a jury, we're screwed. I mean, it is what it is, but that's the truth. Oh, yeah. You would have whelps from the switch. Damn, it hurt. Yeah. So I think with any case that comes with children, I choose to keep emotion out of it. I don't know. I think I'm pretty good about that. Hannah has, 2 older sisters, and I'm sure they miss their little sister very dearly. And But I can't imagine that Hannah or anybody that would be a victim would want somebody to pay the ultimate price for something that they didn't do. I know I wouldn't. If something happened to me, I wouldn't want somebody that didn't cause it to be in prison. A branch off of a tree puts a switch. So, but the most important part of this episode is at the beginning, is to see, Lindsay does say, about getting an attorney, and then how they handle her phone, and the guy just basically takes it, and then she tries to get it back, and he's, like, no, you're not, don't touch this. It's like, I've been like, okay, give me my phone and I'm out of here. I also think when people say, when you're innocent, just lawyer up. When you're innocent, you think to yourself, I have nothing to hide. What do you want? Like, what can I help you with? And even what I've learned, even over time, is I know that I'm innocent, but guess what? I'll be damned if you use something that I say against me. I want you to try to use my silence against me, because it'll never, okay, I was remaining silent. Yep, that's my right. When have you ever really seen in the courtroom where, oh, but they remain silent. They remain silent. So, but I think just like the human in us is like, when something would happen, yeah, no, I didn't do anything. So the real question is when did Lindsay ever start feeling that she became not a helper outer, but we're looking in at you? Because when she would have went home on 3/8 that night, where was her husband? Where was other family members to say, wait, what do you mean you're at the police department? What's going on? What were they questioning you about? Well, they wanted my cell phone, and they were just, she should have had a lawyer. Like, so I don't know what her and her husband would have talked about that night. I'm hoping to find out here soon. Like I said, if it's a case I do, I work with the family. I work directly with the family, which would include Lindsay. Yeah, and he just whips out 8:20. He says, nope, you called her at 8:20. I'm thinking, where's he coming up with that? And he hadn't even looked at her phone yet. Remember how the detective, the woman, just said, no, we hadn't even looked at her phone yet. So where are you getting this 8:20 from? You wanted to see how she reacted. Awesome. Well, she reacted perfectly to that. She's like, wait, no. That's not, here, give me my phone. Go look at the call. It was probably 7:20. There's no way. And do you see how calm? She didn't like, did she turn on any of them? Like, if you're considered like an abusive person, it's usually because you have a trigger. It's usually because you're, I think I have patience. But if you don't have patience, you're gonna lash out. Well, you said 8:20. She's like, no. Here, wait, give me my phone. Like, let me show you. She didn't say, she didn't lose it on him. And so she passed your little stupid test. And now maybe you should, okay, let's investigate this. She was honored in that interview. And then here she's right. She's like, no. And then proves that it's right. Oh, and then the guy's like, oh, I must have got that right. Oh, that's my mistake. Yeah, this whole investigation is your mistake. I mean, telling somebody that somebody died, can you imagine that? And you're instantly in terror. What do you mean? And then that's when she felt like, that's when she goes and just drops. Like, what do you mean she's dead? And then she's not even dead? I don't know about you guys, but I just think that there's other ways to do that. And how do you expect her to react? What were you trying to accomplish out of it? Which was this. And that's where her cousin says, Lana, this was about, okay, if they want to say that, because Lindsay said that she hit her or whatever like that, but because they wouldn't let her, nope, that's not it. Come with a different story. Come with a different story. It's like, yeah, I didn't. And she's thinking that because Jason told her that she had an aneurysm. She had an aneurysm. Meanwhile, they tell Jason that they're looking into, physical abuse. Does Jason tell Lindsay that at any point? No. Do you think that if Lindsay would have known that they were looking, that Hannah, it's physical abuse? Like, I know a lot of airhead people out there. They're amazing people. But if this happened to them, they would be like, they'd be found guilty of murder because they're just, they're not going to be the type to lawyer up, is they're just like, yeah, no, I want to help. So people's personalities, and this has a lot to do with Brandon Dassey's interview. I mean, you're doing this to a mentally challenged human being. Hey, bravo, good job. It's just sad. Yeah, always an attorney. How about this? I think that people should start telling their children this when they're real little. There's things that, hey, you're going to college. Hey, you're never talking to the police unless there's an attorney present. I think that we need to start telling that to our kids, because then none of this happens. None of this would have been able to have been seen in the courtroom because it wouldn't have happened. I have learned via Lana and Chris Watts, no matter what, ask for an attorney, period. Telemarketer calls, I now say, wait, do I need an attorney present for this? Yeah. Who's in prison? No. He's still in prison. So. Oh, yeah. And then he just slyly just takes it with him when he walks out the door. Hey, I'm going to take this with me. Is that okay? He didn't ask that. He just, okay, well, I'll be right, and he just took it. And it's like, and the consent form was not for a dump. It was to look in the phone. So technically, it wasn't to do a Celebrate dump, which I learned that just by doing this here with you guys, because I always take my notes. It should enrage people. That was all about money. He goes to prison. That state county, they don't pay out that money. So there was millions of dollars is the reason for what happened to with that whole case. I'm going to leave you guys with this to think about. Why hasn't Jason filed his wrongful death suit against Lindsay in civil court? Phone records. I did some digging. Yep. No movement with it. There's rumor that says, because he's not going to get anything because he thought that he could go after the Smiths, blah, blah, blah. You would still do it and let a judge deem if you can get half of that house. Ohio has interesting laws with, in terms of being married, not married, cohabitating with children and stuff like that. So Jason had had an attorney and they filed to get the complaint in prior to the deadline, and they have not moved forward with it. I don't know if it, like, I'm looking in to see if it has been like just completely pulled or what, but Jason would obviously be, testifying there, and then his phone records could then be subpoenaed. So, which then we get our hands on. And somebody may have told him that those phone records, because I think they're going to be very problematic for Jason. Well, thank you, Miss Lana, for today. I didn't get kicked out for my opinion. Love your passion for cases no matter what. Oh yeah, no. I don't usually kick people out because of their opinion. I like people to see, I can obviously like see something someone else's way, which is right now Lindsay's already in prison. So, I saw it that way. I saw it how people could vote that way, with guilty. But how about I take a look at this and let me expand a little bit, and I just, I don't think that Lindsay is guilty of murder, and I definitely don't think the state proved their case. And that's even without the new evidence that I plan on turning over to the family, and hopefully they can, that's how they're going to get back in the courtroom. So, but yeah, everybody's always welcome here. It's everything is about delivery, and everything's about respect. So, I disagree with people all the time. I just choose not to talk to the people that are nasty about it. Yes, they would. And that is correct. It is not overturned. Unfortunately, I think Brandon Dassey, he's out of all of his appeals. They would need new evidence. It's really sad. They are the best. And I'm so happy that people say that, because I think that you're a reflection of who you surround yourself with too. And I'm happy for the people that are around me. They're really good people, and they're my friends. So as you go through this process, Anna, how long do you estimate this will take you to possibly get Lindsay's verdict overturned? The verdict probably wouldn't be overturned unless it's like, unless the evidence that you're turning over is exculpatory, which I don't see it being. I see it, exculpatory evidence is something like somebody comes forward and says, I bought drugs off of Jason or Chris that night or that morning, early in the morning, and I saw a little girl, and and then blah blah blah. It would be something, them witnessing an action that could have, I guess, resulted in that fatal blow. But I'm not too convinced that. I don't know. Also, I think that it's very problematic and should help Lindsay with TJ being arrested for having sex with a child under the age of 10, which is considered rape. And, really, where was TJ that morning? So, I mean, definitely Lindsay has hope. Also jurors. That's the other thing. So if there was issue with jurors, which that happened in Sheldon's case, I found that. He'll be back in the courtroom because of that. So I think that could be very well possible, seeing as how there's just no way if I was on that jury I would have voted guilty on manslaughter or murder. They didn't prove that. This is truly the best community to have a difference of opinion and discuss it in a respectable way. Oh, thank you. Take pride in that, BL. Yeah, so you guys, this whole case is real time, real investigation, which is nice to follow along with the process. If this type of stuff, interests you, and to be part of it, you never know, something that, you say in chat jogs my brain, or if you happen to come across something, always, speak up. You never know. You can definitely email if you don't want to say something in chat. So you can do truthtransparency3@gmail. Those of you guys that are, maybe don't want to be chatting publicly. How do you feel about Lindsay admitting hitting this child by defending her on murder charges? I don't believe she murdered this child, but abuse. Yeah, that's what I talked about a little bit earlier, was the only thing that I would remotely be convicting Lindsay of based on this trial is the 3 years max of child endangerment. And that's even a stretch for me, because I wouldn't be convinced. It's hard to convince that the hitting, caused anything of Hannah's death. I think there's something else. Also, the testimony alone of the defense's expert, basically saying, no, there is another way. This, it could have been something that happened, the night before. And so that right there, but that alone right there is why I'd be not guilty. Medicine is science. 30 to 60 seconds, all the lying that Jason did. This is a not guilty verdict for me. And at the most, Lindsay does, the max of, possibly, like I said, 3 years at most. If she served time before that, you'd also have time served in there. And then if people felt more comfortable to say that she wasn't allowed to watch children anymore. But I remember that you did answer that, but thank you for responding. You're welcome. All right, guys, that's a wrap. Thank you guys for being here, and until next time. And Miss B, you're always welcome. And want to say thank you to Zion Life for becoming a member. That's really, really kind of you and very helpful. I spent a lot of time on this. I don't come on YouTube and talk about, well, we won't go there. Callie, love you. Bumblebee, love you. And again, all you guys that are members, I do. You guys are the reason that I can help people. I know that I definitely give people hope, and that's a huge thing for a lot of these families is they have hope. So, all right, guys, take care.